YouTube fam, Torpid fam, it's Torpid here. We are back with the YouTube guides. We've got RSham for you today, and please listen to this. The point of this guide is to give you enough advanced techniques, basic techniques, and understanding of the class as quick as possible so that you can get out there and enjoy the class. I really think that people get discouraged from playing something when they don't understand it, and people are so busy that it's hard to get a complete picture of how a class is supposed to work. But remember, in PvP and in World of Warcraft, I want you guys to play what you want to play. So my recommendation is learn everything from the guide and then customize it to yourself. Have a blast out there. And if you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. That's all I ask. Let's get right into it. Love you guys. The stat priority for Resto Shaman is going to be Mastery, Verse, Haste, and Crits. With Mastery, play with anywhere from 93 to over 100% Mastery. With Verse, anywhere from 30 to 34, depending on how often you feel like you're being targeted. And with Haste, you're going to want to keep in between 9 to 11. It gives the class a smoother feel, better GCDs, honestly, your hexes, your surges, your healing waves, mixing in when you've used too much. The little bit of Haste feels really nice. And the crit, you're going to be using a crit shield as well as a badge, which we're going to talk about later to give you extra intellect on your heals that both come with crits. The tier set for RSham will not be used in RSham 3v3 solo shuffle. It could potentially be weaved into RBGs, but I'm still not using it in RBGs. So for the sake of this video, no tier for RSham PvP. The best races for Resto Shaman right now are on the Alliance side, one of the two dwarves, simply to remove the Shadow Priest threat and the Shadow Priest silence, the Death Knight Strangulate, and other silences that might be released upon you, because it's like having a second trinket. When you know you don't need to trinket a silence because you have a racial, you can save your trinket for other moments. And then on the flip side, if you're playing Horde, Orc simply is going to provide you less stun reduction through their passive racial, as well as give you more primary stat. And for me, I have Orc. We're going to talk about it later. When I NS, I also have the Orc racial built in, so every other NS has even that little extra oomph to make sure I top my teammates. Okay, guys, so this is going to be the base talent tree that we're going to start with and then expand with over the duration of the video. So go ahead, the import string's below, copy the import string, log into your game, click import, paste it into here, name it whatever you want, Torpid Sham. Oh, man, I tell you, the pressure of recording. Torpid Sham, and then let's get started. Okay, guys, so I'm going to take you into the healing rotation in 1 second. The first 5 things you just need to hear of, just be refreshed of, is the first thing is you need Earth Living Weapon on to your weapon. It's a talent tree we've selected here. And what it's going to do is you have a 20% chance while you're casting your heals to trigger another healing over time on the target. Now, this happens quite frequently, and it's extremely strong throughout the battle. The second thing is keeping Water Shield up. Water Shield, you can see at the top right, has 3 charges, and when you get hit, you're going to get mana in return, and this costs no mana to press, so you keep refreshing it on CD. The third thing is Purify Spirit. This is how you dispel all the magic effects from your teammates. However, when you're up against curses, you're going to need to spec into Improved Purify Spirit and make sure that you are removing those curse effects. The next thing is Purge, which you can spec into Single Purge. You can press all the time for 4,000 mana to remove 1 magic effect, or Greater Purge, which allows you to remove 2 magic effects for 6,000 mana, but has a 12-second cooldown. Now, there's an argument for both depending on what you're facing. However, in today's meta, the damage is pretty crazy. There are opportunities to spam Purge for sure, but there's definitely some opportunities where you only get to cast it once, and Greater Purge comes in clutch there. So you're going to find what works for you. You're going to defend it on the comps that you're facing. And lastly, guys, Wind Shear. We're going to talk about an embellishment later that when you kick somebody, you gain primary stat. Shamans have the shortest kick in the game, and it has a range on it. So a big way to heal your teammates is to shut down enemy damage. When those warlocks are casting a cast bolt, boom, you're going to come in, hit him with a Wind Shear, and stop that damage. So let's get into the healing rotation. Alright, so I think that the most important thing that you can take from my videos is understanding the core of a class. Now, understanding the defensives and the offensives and the utility, they're hard to apply, but they're easy to understand. It's typically the core that is tough for people. What am I doing throughout 80% of it? You know, how am I getting into a spot where I'm succeeding without these big CDs needing to save me? So Now I'm going to take you through the order of these abilities, and then I'm going to flash over and tell you about why we're pressing them in that order. So the first thing you're going to do, summon your Earth Ellie, get an Earth Shield onto the training dummy, get a Riptide onto the training dummy, another Riptide onto my second player, the Warrior, one Healing Stream Totem, an Earthen under my primary target taking damage. I'm going to Totemic Recall to reset my Earthern. If I need to move my Earthern, I can. Then I'm going to Primordial Wave, Unleash Life, NS Healing Wave, and then I'm going to weave back in my Healing Stream Totem, my Riptides, and then my second Earthern as this one's expiring. Now, this is going to be the core for Shaman and what you're striving to do in every opener, and here's why. Alright, so let's understand why we're pressing our buttons in the order we're pressing them, how they synergize, and how to do healing the majority of the time without our large cooldowns. Now, Earth Ellie is arguably a large cooldown, it's 5 minutes, but you're going to pop Earth Ellie at the beginning because Earth Ellie gives you 15% HP, and your Earthern Wall is going to gain that HP, and it's going to be more effective. So I like to Earthern Ellie at the beginning. There's an argument that you could save it if you're getting trained, give yourself that 15%, or pair with an Earthern Wall later on. I like to just get it out there, and I recommend just get it out there at the beginning, have that large presence, and start building that momentum. So you Earth Ellie, and then you cast an Earth Shield onto your primary target. Now, Earth Shield's going to reduce the damage they take, and it's going to heal when they take damage, but most importantly, with Surging Shields, whoever has your Earth Shield, you can only have it on one of your two teammates, gets 25% increased healing. So you need to understand who they're training because this is make or break. 25% is no joke. The second thing, you're looking to keep Riptides up on your primary target. You're looking to keep Riptides up on your secondary target, and when possible, on yourself as well. You're always looking to have one Healing Stream tied down throughout the entirety of the match. Sometimes you can snack two, but for the most part, try to spread them out and have one at a time. Feel it out. Then you're always playing around your Earthen Wall. I'm going to show you guys an awesome macro for this later that's going to be super helpful. But you're playing around your Earthen Wall. Now, this is your most, I don't want to say your most effective heal, but the great Shamans communicate to their team about their Earthen Wall, and great teammates and great teams take advantage of the Earthen Wall. Shamans who lack the foresight to move it or communicate that are really going to be behind the other Shamans. And then as soon as you Earthen, you actually Totemic Recall it, so you have a second Earthen, right? The openings, a lot of CDs, a lot of these CDs can last 10, 20, 30 seconds, 40 seconds, a lot of pressure. So you're going to have one Earthen, recall it, and get your next Earthen out, and then you can move them with the projection. Sometimes it's not just moving it to where your teammates are running from. Sometimes your teammates are chasing, and you want to be aggressive. You want to move that Earthen into where your teammates are. Now, we're going to use the Primordial Wave. And now how this works and why we Riptide early is you want one Riptide on your training dummy, one on Cyrix. The reason being, and I'll even put one on myself here, the reason being when I Primordial Wave the training dummy, then I unleash life, so it's going to make my healing wave heal for 35% more, and I NS and I healing wave. That healing wave, thanks to the Primordial Wave, is going to heal all the targets affected by Riptide. So in this case, it's going to heal my main target for 100% of the healing, and it's going to heal me and this warrior, I'm using it as an example, for 60% of the healing, and Nature Swiftness makes this cast free of mana. So talk about wanting to save mana. Well, instead of single target healing 3 of your teammates, you're going to heal all 3 of us at once, essentially for free through the NS. Now, of course, the Unleash and Primordial costing a tiny bit of mana, but 1.5, 2,000 mana. And then out of this, you're going to be weaving in your healing stream, keeping your Riptides up, and getting that second Earthen Wall down. And then, of course, we're going to be mixing in the utility we're going to talk about later, and we're going to be mixing in some of our offensives and some of our defenses. But if you understand the core, how these synergize, if you're pressing Primordial Wave every 30 seconds, I think I was doing a different part of the video, but you're actually going to be running this talent down here that makes Primordial every 30 seconds, and your NS is 1 minute. So every other NS, you're going to have a Primordial Wave. You're going to make sure your Riptides are out, and you're going to top your team, and you're going to be dominating. I'm having a blast on Shaman. Okay, so one of the healing change-ups you can do is in the talent tree, you can switch from Call of the Elements to Creation Core. Now both are extremely strong and have different values and I've talked to a couple people and I've experimented with both. I like Call of the Elements, but a lot of people love Creation Core, and I'm not against it, so I wanted to show it to you. Creation Core, what it does is it lets you recall 2 totems instead of 1. Now, typically what you're going to do here is you're going to place an Earthern, a healing stream, and then you're going to totemic recall, place another healing stream, and then have that Earthern to place read away or to save for later. But you're going to get 1 guaranteed Earthern, 2 guaranteed healing streams, and then you're going to have a healing stream and an Earthern as backup. 3 insanely strong tools you have to top your team and pump out healing are Ancestral Guidance, Ascendance, and Spirit Walker's Grace. Now, Ancestral Guidance is going to duplicate 25% of your healing and your damage into heals for your allies. I like to weave this in early on, right? I like to get it going, get it out there. So when I'm doing that primordial into the Unleash elements and keeping my Riptides up, the Healing Stream Tide items out, and I know they're bursting at the beginning of the game, I like to mix this in. It is a strong cooldown, but it's not insane, and it's not really an emergency button. I kind of like to use it to top my heals and to save some mana by healing less. Ascendance is insane. It's going to duplicate all the healing you do, and it has an initial heal that pumps. So in a bind, you might even just need to press Ascendance to get that initial heal out, that little instant heal, and then I like to pair it with Spirit Walker's Grace. And now typically we're going to be running our Spirit Walker's Aegis's. When we Spirit Walkers, we have an immunity for 5 seconds to silence and to interrupt effects, so we can't be kicked. So I'll Ascendance and cast our Spirit Walkers, and then I can go ahead and cast a quick Surge, or maybe I need to cast a Healing Wave, something with the Aura Mastery up. So deciding when you need to do these is incredibly important, because Ascendance is going to save the game. Spirit Walker's Grace has a lot of potential to save the game. It can even keep your team on the offensive, right? That's what we're looking to do with Shaman. We're looking to give our team enough utility and top them so that they can play offensive. We're looking to shut down the enemy with some statics, with some Earthbinds, with some shears. And another thing that I do when I don't combine these is I try to spread them out a little bit. Again, the more you can communicate with your teammates and spread your abilities out and really get the most of them, the better. However, sometimes the way the game's set up, they get you in a good CC. They're hammering. You need to respond. You got to trade your cooldowns effectively. One other talent that I want to talk about really quickly is Mana Spring. Now, Mana Spring is going to discount the mana cost of your Riptides and your Lava Bursts. Now, this actually is massive because you're casting a Riptide off GCD. It's a short cooldown. Discounting your mana on your Riptides is going to allow you to win that mana game or maybe match that mana game. Now, the talents you could swap for it, sometimes you can drop Spirit Walker's Aegis. Sometimes you can drop Earth Grab. Sometimes you can drop Call of the Elements. Now, I know I'm giving you a lot of options, but it really depends on what you're facing and what you're comfortable playing with. Another route you can do is you can actually take away the Purge, the Brimming with Life, and the Chain Lightning. You could remove this whole side, and then you can get Mana Spring and keep your other talents, because sometimes you're really not getting that value of Purge. It's going to be dependent on what you feel, but keep it in mind that Mana Spring is extremely strong, and I wanted to cover that. Okay, so I've talked about Nature's Swiftness. Now, you're always going to be running the Gladiator's Badge of Ferocity, and if you're Orc, you're going to have Blood Fury every other Nature's Swiftness. When you Nature's Swiftness, we talked about how the Primordial Wave makes that heal hit everybody, and typically when you NS, it's because you want to top your teammates. So to make that stronger, we always pair with the Badge, which gives us 1,141 primary stats. So I have this in a macro. I guess I could open it up here really quick. And it's Obsidian Badge, Blood Fury, Nature's Swiftness, Healing. I'll have it in the description below. But what it looks like is I'll unleash life, and then my macro will press Blood Fury, Badge, NS, and Healing Wave all at once to give me the most value out of every Nature's Swiftness, putting my team as far ahead as I can. Okay, so before I talk about the totems, I wanted to show you the static totem. When you place static totem around an enemy and then move it, it actually picks the enemy up and moves him with the totem. So this can be extremely strong for moving the enemy away from your team, moving the enemy behind LOS to kill, or simply moving them so that they range a heal coming from their healer. It's super powerful and a lot of fun. I just showed you the static totem and the tech for that. I'm not going to show you the totems for everything. However, I want you to know that Healing Tide and Spirit Link are mandatory. Healing Tide paired with the PvP talent Living Tide, which is going to, every time it pulse, increase its healing by 25% and reduce the cooldown, is extremely strong, and it's going to carry a lot of fights. You're going to want a Healing Tide typically during their large burst window, when you know that you're about to get CC'd. Sometimes I know a healer is about to CC me, so I get that Healing Tide down so that it pumps heals while I'm in the CC when there's nothing I can do about it. And you're going to Spirit Link when you're out of cooldowns, or when you don't have time for a lot of cooldowns. Sometimes you don't have time for a Primordial, Unleash, NS, Riptide, both of these guys. You just want to level out and reset and buy yourself a couple seconds. Throw that Spirit Link down. From Grounding to Tremor to Earth Grab to Sky Fairy to Capacitor Tome to Stone Skin to the Poison Cleansing. These are all interchangeable depending on matchups and preference, okay? You can have a lot of fun with it. Some of them are in the PvP talents where you can also run Burrow if you want. The others are going to be on the left side of the tree for the most part. And what you're going to do is you're going to be able to remove talents and you're going to be able to swap between them as you please. Try them all out, right? If the other team doesn't have a Charm or a Sleep that's going to be effective on you, you don't need Tremor. If you find that you're facing a Warlock and a Frost Mage, maybe you don't want Earth Grab, and every talent point really matters. So you're going to be changing it up. Maybe you want to run a Stone Skin Totem into melee. Maybe you want to remove Cleansing from a Rogue, something like that. You're going to want to take a look at your totems and apply them to the way you like to play and the comp you're playing versus the comps you're running into. There's two ways to do max damage as Shaman right now, outside of completely specking for it. You can use this with the healing tree we showed you. The first one is taking Stormkeeper, which when you charge yourself with lightning, your next two lightning bolts or chain lightnings deal increased damage and they're instant, and Stormkeeper doesn't need to be on the target. So you actually cast a Stormkeeper on yourself behind the pillar, come around and shoot a lightning bolt for free, or a chain lightning, maybe you're hitting a melee cleave. The lightning bolt single target damage will be more if you've got a target focused, and chain lightning if you're cleaving maybe a double melee cleave. The next thing you're going to do is cast a Lava Burst and pop a Flame Shock while the Lava Burst is in air, instead of a Flame Shock global into a Lava Burst, and you run the PvP talent Lava Surge, which has a 15% chance to proc the free Lava Burst. Perfect, kind of scripted it better, and you're going to be able to just keep Flame Shock up on the enemy in between your globals. You're going to get free Lava Burst or Stormkeeper into honestly quite impactful damage through the lightning bolts. Okay guys, so one of the WeakAuras listed below is going to be my Earth Shield and my Riptide tracker. Now, as you can see to the right of my frame, there's nothing there, but when I Earth Shield myself, when I get into combat, this little Earth Shield down here disappears. It's from BigDebuffs. So what I actually see is 9 stacks of Earth Shield, and then when I Riptide myself, the Riptide goes above. So while I'm fighting, I have my 3 arena frames here, and I can track who has my Earth Shield, how many stacks are left. Typically, I'm refreshing it at 3, 2, or 1 stacks, right? I don't want to use too much mana, but I also want to make sure that I get it out early. And then I can see my Riptide, which glows when it starts falling off. So you can see Erratic here, Earth Shield on him, and a Riptide on both sides of the raid frame to manage my Riptides and my Earth Shields. Outside of that, you're just healing and managing your totems. The other WeakAura I have is simply when my Water Shield expires or has been meleeed off. On the left here, you'll see I have a no shield for the Water Shield, and I simply refresh it, also in the link below. Okay, guys, so the add-ons you're going to want to be using, the first one you can see right here is Omnicd. It's on the left. It shows Erratic's Trinket, his Blur, his Darkness, his Metamorphosis, and his Kick. You can open this up /Omnicd, and you'll be able to customize it however you want, adding and removing spells, but it gives you a little bit of information of what your teammates can do to survive. The second thing is BigDebuffs. Now, I'm showing it in a different way, but Erratic is my teammate. He's in my party. I can see right now that he's hexed thanks to BigDebuffs, and I can make sure I get that dispel out. That's exactly what it's going to look like when you're facing an enemy and your teammates get hexed, and then I've asked him to kick me. So the other thing is OmniCC, tracking kicks. At the bottom here, Erratic just uses Demon Hunter Kick, and now I know it's on cooldown. Tracking Kick is extremely important with Shaman and in healers in general, because when the enemy kicks are down, you know you can save that mana, you can confidently top your team with the healing wave. I queued a quick arena to show you live sArena. Now sArena shows the priest, the DH, and the warlock on the right here, okay? And I can see that that priest was penanting. I can see the trinkets. I can see these two aren't running a trinket. They're using human. Everything I need to see. The Dreadsteed. So sArena is going to give you knowledge of the enemy when you're getting into the battle. It's really important to be going for drinks in 3v3, 2v2 rated battlegrounds. The water you're going to want to buy isn't actually from the vendor. If you don't have a mage on your team, you're going to come to the auction house and pick up delicious dragon spittle to get the most out of your drinks. So the embellishments you're going to want to take, you're going to come here to the crafter and you're going to craft them. The first one you're going to craft are the boots. These boots, when you dispel someone or wind shear somebody, you're going to gain 510 primary stat. The second piece you're going to craft are your arm guards, which when you're taking damage or doing critical healing, you're going to be getting verse, crit, mastery, haste. They can proc at both times. You can be getting an insane amount of extra stats. The third and the fourth, you're going to have precog. That's going to come valuable against some comps. And then you have your flame touch leg guards, which is when you're over 90% health, you just gain flat out mastery, which I like to use in rated battlegrounds. But get your boots and get your arm guards and get out there. A must-know for Resto Sham is verse Boomkins. You can get out of their root beam with the talent Spirit Walk. So read here, my friend Erratic, he's been helping us with the video. I'm going to tell him to beam me. And when he root beams, you're going to see all my abilities except for this Spirit Walk go dark, because I can press Spirit Walk and get out of the beam. So this is an absolute must-know, an absolute take versus every Boomkin team. And there's a lot of them out there. Okay, I want to show you. I'm going to duel with Erratic. Let's pretend he's the opponent and I have a melee on him. With this Earthern macro, which will be posted below, when I press Earthern, it's going to drop an X with a diamond. It goes up and down. It's highlighted all pink. I'm going to be completely honest. Somebody from my stream sent this to me when I was picking up Resto Shaman, and they said it's from Dyllbar. So I'm going to have Dyllbar's stream recommended below. He's an RSham main, and maybe a couple other streamers, to make sure we highlight the people that you can go learn RSham from.